Oh shit. I just make a no. That's not good. Oh, we're alive. No, it was I will tell you later. Well, thank you, Mike. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us a little bit.
Thank you for battling the
Uh,
traffic.
yes, yeah, especially later when all the people go because I live in a city called Rennes, but I work outside the city. So
Yep.
when you
Yep.
you go to the city, sometimes a lot of traffic jams, stuff like that. So no, it's an honor to have you on my podcast, and
Thank you.
I want to remind all the French, tous les amis français, all the French-speaking people that Mike Perkins will be soon in Paris. Is your first time in Paris, or you already?
No, no. I did a few signings in a few shops,
Okay,
maybe 5 years ago, something like that. When I
all
went
right,
to, I was a guest at Contain, Luxembourg, and
okay,
I went in to Paris on the fast train, and
okay.
and did a few signings there during the week, and then went back to Contain with Thierry Monet, and then we were both there.
You remember the name of the store, or
Well, there was one in Albon, and there was another
there you go.
one. Um, uh, can't remember the name of the store. They do more kind of the American comics.
Sure.
Um,
Uh, and what the
in
people
Rue
was
Dante,
talking.
maybe something like that.
All right. And the people, the communication was complicated with
No,
their French accent.
no, no, no. That's not a problem for me. I mean, my
Okay.
French is almost non-existent, so I dare not even go into a into
Yes.
the
And
French
what
language.
was the comic that you signed the most that around that time?
Well, I think let me think. That was just maybe it was just when some of the first collections of the complete stand were out.
Okay.
Um, but also it was just when the first collection of Amber Blake was out as well, and I
Oh, right.
and I was inking the first two volumes of Amber Blake. So it was around about that time, I think.
Okay. No, that's great. So, yes, I want to remind everyone that Mr. Mike Perkins will be in Paris between the 15 and 16 April. Um, wait, 15 et 16 avril. So that will be great. I think you will have a lot of stuff to sign.
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
Something
Yeah,
Carnage.
I'm probably going to do a few headshots before I go because I don't know if I'll have that much time at the show to do sketches because it's going to be so busy. Um,
Yeah, of course.
so I'll
I
probably
don't
do a
know
few
how
headshots.
they will handle that because, of course, there will be a lot of demanding. Hey, can you sign this? Hey,
Right,
can we take a picture? And
right,
yeah,
right.
it's 3 days. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's not. It's only 2 days, so it's
oh,
going to
okay.
be it's
Sorry,
gonna,
2 days.
yeah.
Uh, but you like that interaction with fans?
Oh yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it. It's
Y-
we spend most of our time in studios on our own.
Yeah,
So
of course.
when we go to a convention, it's lovely to speak to people and to fellow professionals as well.
Yeah, it's
Um,
kind of the same. I can make kind of the same what you make music because I like any electronic producer, you make music by yourself in your room l-
right.
with no people. So when
Yeah.
you play your song in a show, is like yeah, it's like catharsis. Like yeah,
Yeah.
finally.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I love it.
and people get really excited with, especially with you know, comic book artists. to know the guy who created their favorite
Right.
comic books. So I don't know. Maybe it's a weird question, but I'm sure there are different kind of fans. You know, there are fans like it. Yeah, I love your work, and they're very respectful, and other fans that can give you notes like,
Right.
yeah, you need to improve this. Yeah, it was better before. It
Right.
will happen, stuff like that.
No, not really. I think most people who are there are very respectful,
Mm,
and even if they're not kind of knowledgeable of your work, they want to learn about the work.
yes,
Um,
yes.
so I think really a lot of people. I don't think you get that many people who are a pain in the ass. Basically,
Mm,
it's very very nice people who go there. They want to be at the
yes,
show,
yes.
otherwise they wouldn't be there.
And do you
So
think it's that different between the European fans and American fans?
um,
I don't want to
I
get you
don't
into
know. I
trouble.
mean, no. I mean, the construction of conventions usually are different in
Mm,
Europe. Um, it's a lot different. I mean, in America, and I don't know what this festival will be like. It might be an American kind of style,
mm,
but the American conventions are very much like you sit at your table and you're there the whole day, and they can be quite exhausting.
yes.
Um, the European conventions, um, they're a lot more easier. They're a lot more laid back
Mm,
in the sense
yes.
that you can be at your table for 2 hours, and you can have a break,
Yes.
and you can come back for another 2 hours, or you know.
Okay.
But it depends on the convention. I mean, you have to
Sure.
you have to kind of know what the convention is to prepare yourself for the different.
Yeah.
Because some conventions, like in Germany, you do very quick headshots
Mm,
um, for free. Well, they're not for free because the person has to they have to get a ticket,
yes.
and once they've got a ticket, they can go and get a free headshot. But with that ticket, they have already bought something from the
All
panini
right.
shop or something.
Yes.
So there's a different process there.
Mm. In United States, it's more like I will pay you for a headshot.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, or or like I was saying, you might do some headshots before,
Mm,
depending on how busy you think you're going to be in signing, because
yes.
a headshot when I'm doing it at home can take 20 minutes, half an hour,
Yeah.
an hour.
And it
Um,
happened you to a guy who arrived like what 100 comics. Like, can
of
you sign
course,
this?
of course,
Because these days there's a lot of speculation with
yeah,
it's like stocks. The comics
yes,
it becomes if he's what what value he have is his
right,
mint
right,
is already approved by the
yeah,
ZG yeah. So
yeah.
of course your signature give them value. So
Right, right. Yeah,
yeah,
but I
I
mean,
don't.
usually I sign, I do a signature for free. That's
Mm,
not really a problem for me. Um, but yeah, sometimes it's just you like I was saying, you got like you might do a head sketch at home for 20 minutes or to an hour. The
yes.
If you're at a convention, a head sketch can take you the whole day because you're trying to do it and people want their stuff signed. You know. And that's fine. That's what you're there for. You're there
Yeah.
to sign. You're there to chat. You
Mm,
know, so it's difficult to do the commissions, especially a 2 day convention.
yeah. Yeah. I guess.
Usually, with a 3 day convention, you can break it down into taking a list on the first day.
Mm,
Second day, you're doing a few commissions, and then the third day, you're giving the commissions back. So
yes.
it's easier to figure out. A 2 day convention is much more tricky to do commissions. That's
Yeah.
why I
No,
tend
for
to
sure.
that's why I tend to persuade people to, if they want a commission, to get in touch with me, and then I'll give it to them and
Yeah,
go, you know.
and you will have the time to do it
Right,
the
and to
right
do a good
way.
and to do a good thing, because sometimes you'll see stuff on eBay that you've done at a show, and you'll be like, I can't even remember drawing that. You know.
So like take whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no, for sure. No, but that's great. And I will like to. Well, I don't want to make it a typical question like, "Hey, how you start in comics?" But no, that's interesting. But
yeah.
for me, the more interesting part is like the transition between the European market and
Right.
the American market. How was that transition?
Well, I mean, previously I'd done work for 2000 AD and Games Workshop before I started in the American market.
Big
I haven't really done that much European work as such. I mean, a lot of my stuff has been
yes.
reprinted in Europe. Um, the really
But
the only
2000 and ID is like an institution
oh totally totally
in
yeah yeah.
in England.
But I think the only kind of mainland European stuff I've done is inking over Butch guys really.
Mm,
Um, I've spoken to some of the publishers there about doing different things.
yes.
It's all a case of fitting it in. That's the problem, because usually
Yes.
usually I'm exclusive with Marvel or DC,
Mm,
so it's very difficult to fit anything in around that time because they're constantly giving me
sure.
work. There's nothing to complain about. It's great. You
Yeah. No, for me it was great the influence, all the influence of the European artists and writers with Marvel and DC.
know? Right.
I think was like really a game changer.
Oh, totally,
Uh,
totally.
it was really like something that influenced because comic books until then was kind of really straightforward, really I don't know. It,
It was a
it had a
production line. It was a
complexity.
production line, really.
Yes,
You had your penciler, your inker, your letter, your colorist. In
yes.
Europe, we tend to do everything ourselves, really.
Mm,
Um, and so I think that kind of sensibility, once the British and the Europeans started going over there. I mean, you had it in the 60s in kind of creepy and eerie when all the Spanish
yes.
guys were working.
Yeah.
Um, but those were the magazine format things. It
Mm,
wasn't a monthly comic. Um, and so, I think that kind of singular vision has been brought over
mm,
from Europe, and I think it's kind of more cohesive in a way. It
sure.
makes a rounder product.
Mm,
Having said that, though, I really do enjoy inking other people. I mean, I really enjoy that. So
yes.
I don't really get the chance to do that as often now because I'm
Mm,
so busy. But um, there is something to be said about connecting with another artist in a way
yeah,
that
of course.
your work becomes this new entity.
Yeah, and it could be. Well, I think that's really interesting because to make a comic book, well, yeah, of course you can do everything your own, make the script, but
Right.
that connection that you create is like playing in a band. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
if
Totally.
there's a good connection, you will make something really amazing. If it's
Oh yeah.
not,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not. So for you, what are the best um, experience that you had, like that you feel a real connection as you as an inker
Right.
or as an artist collaborating with other
Yeah. Well, I
artists?
think I think it's always good when you connect with a writer and you've got that sense that
Yes.
you're both, in a way, you're both pushing each other to
Yeah.
to to work a little bit differently, to work a little bit harder. Um,
Mm.
I've always had that feeling with Mike Carey and with Ram V, who I just did Swamp Thing with. Um,
Mm.
so it's great to have that connection with these
Yes.
people and to and to push your way forwards like that
Mm.
together, you know.
Yes.
And I love it when you find that space and I mean, you know what it's like. You're talking about music. It's the same kind of thing
Yeah,
when
of
you're
course.
both into it and
It's
it's
like you
flowing
are
well.
thinking the same thing at the same time,
Right,
stuff like
right,
that.
right.
Or
Totally.
you when you are working, for example, in your in your case, you're working for the story, you
Hmm.
know. Uh is the same when you collaborate with other musicians. If you
Right,
define
and
we are
there's a mutual,
working for the song, it's not
yeah,
like I
there's
want to make it
a
in
mutual
this part.
respect there. Yeah, there's a
Yes,
mutual respect of you're respecting. You love what they're doing. They love what you're doing. So there's that mutual respect there.
yes. No, and when the goal is for example, the goal is set, you know what is adding to the story or to the
Right,
song in
right,
music, or when you are adding something because you want to, I don't know, play a solo, or
right,
you want to use a sound that you want to push on it.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh
Totally, totally. I
yes.
get that.
No, that's great. I love the similarities.
Right.
And and if, well, of course it's a difficult question, but if you can describe some of your influence, no, maybe no influence, inspirations of
Yeah.
you as an artist.
Uh, f- well, I would say the biggest ones when I was younger, it was Brian Bolland and Steve Dillon. Um,
Mm,
like Steve Dillon when he started out and he was doing Absalom Dark in the Doctor Who comic, and then he went on to the Judge Dredd stuff. But definitely Brian Bolland and Steve Dillon were my biggest
yeah,
influences, simply from the fact that you saw them and your brain just
explode.
expanded. You know, and it
Yeah,
was just like, wow, this is what I want to try
yeah,
and attain.
and the attention to detail
Right,
that they
right,
he have, like with,
right.
because yeah, that was really for me what, when I was so pieces of him, was like the attention to detail, to take the patience, just
Right, right.
all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, totally,
No, that's
totally.
great.
But I don't think that influence ever ends. Like you can look
No,
at
no, no.
stuff now and still get influence from new creators as well. So
Yeah, of course.
I don't think that ever ends. I mean, I do buy a lot of um, the French albums and different things when they're released in English because it's easy to read.
Yes.
Um, but just looking through that stuff is you look
Yeah.
at stuff from Matthew Lefray or people like that, and it's mind blowing.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. No,
Right.
In France, there's a huge culture of comics, but it's more like we call it bande dessinée,
Yes. Yeah.
BD,
Yeah.
and it's kind of that we can invented
Hmm.
the the graphic novel format
Right.
that
Right.
then gets incorporated in
Right.
United States. For example, the sorry, this stuff like this.
Right. Right.
Most of the comics of the French comic, it came like this,
Yeah. Yeah.
in this format.
Yeah.
So
And I
then,
love it. I love it now that DC are kind of doing that with the Black Label stuff. That
yes,
a lot of their Black Label stuff, they're doing it at different sizes,
yeah,
and so it's more of an album format to start
yeah.
with.
No, that's great. And even if I love superheroes and Marvel, DC,
Right.
what I find fascinated here in France is like the stories could be anything. Could
Right.
be
Totally.
just a family that moved from the countryside to the city,
Right.
or I don't know, a, a guy who break up with his girlfriend, or a
There was that.
very
There was that one I was reading recently. Oh man, I can't even remember what it's called. Um, but it's his family who travel each year from Belgium to to France. Um, they go on
Mm,
holiday every summer. The guy's a comic artist,
yes.
and he's always trying to get his deadline so that they can go away somewhere with his family. And they
But
always stop. Oh man, I wish I could remember the name of it
yeah,
now.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I can
Right.
remember. But at the same time, there's stories like is like science fiction, very
Yeah.
complex that you have to read it like 10 times to just understand it.
Oh god. Yeah. I mean, I love all the Aldebaran books, all the layout stuff. I love that. It's I just love sitting down where it's so well thought out and it's such a measured pace throughout,
Yes.
um, and it gives that wonder of a different world, and
Yeah,
I,
no,
I
no,
love
that's
that
great.
stuff. I love that stuff.
No,
But I
that's
also love the kind of down to earth stuff as well. I mean, one of the projects which I'd still like to get to at some point. One of the projects where I was talking to Delcor about was an adaptation of Stephen Clark's A Year in the Med novels. Um,
all right.
and we were talking about doing that as a comic strip
Oh,
together.
that's great.
And I still want to do it at some point. It's just a case of finding the time to take
Find
over.
the time. That's always the
Finding the time,
problem. Yeah, of course.
yeah.
And what what are your current projects that you're working at the moment? Something that you can talk about. I don't want to
Yeah,
get you into trouble.
yeah. Well, I wrapped up. I wrapped up Swamp Thing. That was 16 issues of the Swamp Thing, which was beautifully reproduced in France. Actually, hardbacks. Oh, gorgeous stuff. Um,
Yes.
and then I did a 3-issue thing on Action Comics, Superman. And while I was waiting for my new project to kick in, I helped out on some pages on Lazarus Planet as well, which is that's coming out in February, I think.
Hmm.
So I've been keeping busy while I've been waiting for the next big project, which hasn't been
Yes.
announced. So
All right. How was the feedback about Swamp Thing? Because I found that it's so beautiful and
yeah, it was
I
it
don't
was
know.
very popular. I mean, it was so popular that it was originally just going to be 10 issues. Um,
Really?
yeah, and then they extended it another 6 because it was, they wanted us to get the story wrapped up
Yes.
properly and all this kind of stuff. No, we loved it. We loved working on that. It
Hmm.
was, and we like Ram, me, Mike Spicer, and Aditya.
Yes.
We became a real team together.
Hmm. Yes.
Um,
Like
so
a
that
band.
yeah.
The Beatles.
We were all riffing on each other, and things like that.
Yes.
So it was definitely that case of,
Yes.
you kind of knew what you wanted and you were pushing each other and
Hmm.
all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And Ram himself is a very visual writer, so he
Hmm.
kind of sees what he wants, and he says, "Oh, is there some way you can do this?" And he'll scribble
How
it out.
he help you? He make you a draft or
Yeah. Sometimes he'll do a scribble of like the
yes.
layout, and asks me, what do you think of this? Is this something you can take in there? And so that was really interesting as well, that
Hmm.
we could work that way.
And the and for example, when you make a title like that, specifically this one was like DC ask you, yeah, we want to do this, or is like there you go, something,
I think,
have fun.
yeah, I think originally because I think the whole original idea was this 5G thing that DC were doing, where it was
Yes.
the next legacy of heroes.
Mm.
So it all kind of came out of that, and I think with Swamp Thing, I think we wanted to do something different. We wanted a different
I think my
hero,
question is like at that level, they give
right?
you kind of freedom, or they give you a like, okay, you have freedom, but inside this box.
in a way, it's like that because they wanted to concentrate on that 5G and that next legacy thing. So you
Yes.
had the outline of an idea,
Yes.
but then once the team got together and
Yes.
once we started that riffing off each other, they
Hmm.
just let us go. They let
Ah,
us
that's
do what we
great.
wanted to do,
Yes.
because at that point, I think they knew that they could trust us.
Hmm.
Um, it's again going back to the music thing. It's the manager is there, saying,
Yeah.
okay, we need to do a nice poppy song or something, and
Yeah.
then you
No, but
come up
that
with something deep and melancholic, and it's better than it
no,
was before.
that's great. That's something I really love about the that period with Vertigo. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the early years of Vertigo, that they really
Right.
give a lot of freedom
Oh,
to the
totally.
artist,
Totally.
and the result was like Sandman.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
that. If you, because it's proven like scientifically that you, if you give a space to artists to create, is more effective than if you get
Yeah.
constrained just in
Oh,
a,
undoubtedly. Yeah. Yeah. That's
you
true.
will arrive to more original ideas, to more complexity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure.
yeah. And are you are friends with other artists from UK?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I was living over in Florida for 20 years,
Oh, right.
because I went
Yes.
over there for when CrossGen was going on in 2000, and
I was thinking the weather was a little different than
I missed seasons a lot. I missed seasons a lot. So coming back, that was one of the things we wanted. We wanted seasons again.
Yes.
But also because I moved back to a town which is kind of just on the Welsh English border, and there's a lot of comic artists who live here. Um,
Really?
yeah, yeah. So that's a really nice aspect of where we moved back to, because
Hmm.
there was already a community of comic artists here. Well, comic creators, I should say.
But
Um,
you have the opportunity to speak, I don't know, with Alamore or I don't know.
no, well, Alan Moore, no, no.
He don't
I,
seem
I've,
like
I've spoken to Alan. I've
the
spoken
friendly
to Alan
type.
Moore in the past,
Hmm.
but no, it's. I mean, John Wagner lives close by. I mean,
Cool.
he's a total legend. Um, Robbie Morrison lives nearby. Um, Charlie Adlard just lives down the road, and we'll often meet up for lunch. Um, yeah,
Wow.
there's
That's great. How you specifically choose that town for that
yeah,
reason,
yeah.
or
Well,
was just coincidence?
yeah. I mean, I lived in this town 20 odd years back as well. It's not my
Hmm.
hometown, but it's close by.
Cool.
So I lived in this town 20 odd years back, and I always loved it here. And it's a very creative town. It's very artistic. Um, so it was one of those things where when we were thinking of coming back, that was one of the possibilities for us.
All
Um,
right.
so and just the fact that all these other comic creators were here as well, just emphasize the fact that it's creative.
Hmm. No, this brilliant.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
love that
yeah,
word.
totally. Yeah, and we're always
So
trying to get more artists here as well. It's like, oh, it's a great town. You have to move.
yes, to create your own community.
All right, all right.
No, that's awesome. So you live 20 years in Florida. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was. We only really went for 3 years just to make some contacts at CrossGen,
Yes,
and
I
then
was just gonna make some connection and go back.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. That was the original intention. Um,
yes,
but then my wife got work out there as well, and we got a house, and life happens. Um,
yes.
and we were more than happy there. But it was time for us to come back, especially
Mm.
because it's about a year and a half since we moved back, so it's just after the pandemic kind of calmed down a little.
Well,
Um, So it was a lot of it was to do with the pandemic, but we wanted to be closer to family and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Was hard in Florida the COVID stuff?
No, no, not really. They kind of
Okay.
ignored it to a large extent.
All
Um,
right.
I mean, people were wearing masks and things like that, but it wasn't locked down like England
All
was.
right.
Um, when I came over to look at the house over here, I remember talking to Charlie out loud, and he was asking, so where are you going to go somewhere while you're here? And I said, yeah, I might go to Attingham Park, have a look around there. He said, oh no, that's 7 miles away. You can only go 5 miles away. I was like, what?
What is he talking about? Oh yes. No, it was a
It's
weird
very
time.
strict. It
It was
was.
a
It was. And when I came over first to look at the house and to decide, I mean, the streets were deserted. I mean, the streets were empty. It was strange. It was very strange. And we didn't really have that in Florida at all.
Hmm.
I mean, we
Yeah.
had certain
No.
things locked down, like playgrounds you couldn't go on and things like that.
Ah yes. Yeah. No, it was a really weird. It was like a science fiction film
Oh,
during a
totally,
couple of
totally. I remember there was an interview with Mike Carey when he was doing one of his interviews for a book launch, and it was online, and it was a post-apocalyptic book, and it was very much like we're actually living in the post-apocalypse. It's just like, is there something that you have come across which you thought would never happen post-apocalypse? And Mike Carey was like, yeah, the toilet paper situation. It's just like, you would never
Yeah, it was
think
so
that
weird.
would be.
Yeah. Oh fuck! I need toilet paper. Let's get.
Right.
Well, like no water, food. No,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
need toilet paper. I want to
yeah.
be sure. Yeah, no, for sure. That's crazy. Uh, I would like to, I don't know, see a little bit of your work.
Mm-hmm.
We are on your page, Mike
Yeah,
Perkins
yeah.
Art.com, and you have many pieces like uh they are, well, all they are amazing, but I think it can illustrate a little like all
Mm-hmm.
your different um levels, and
Right.
that's great. That's
Yeah,
something number one,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
No, that's crazy. uh but stuff like this, it like um was the writer was telling you, yeah, I imagine like something exploding from the from
No,
the
no. I
from the
think
back.
no. Usually for covers,
Mm,
you do maybe 4 different roughs,
yes.
different ideas, um, and then they'll decide which one they want to use. I mean,
Mm,
Ram and I really kind of went into what we wanted from the covers first. We
mm,
we discussed a lot of
yes.
body horror films and all this kind of stuff.
Mm,
And that was kind of what we wanted to go for this,
yes. No, that's
so
really beautiful.
thank you, thank you.
And for me, I love covers because I think it give you more freedom
Yeah,
than
yeah.
draw in a story,
Well, in
because
a way they do. In a way, I think I kind of like design led covers where you're playing with the design element to it,
mm,
um, as opposed to storytelling covers.
yes.
Um, and storytelling covers have their place. Um,
You mean a storytelling covers like is related with story inside?
yeah, yeah. This is what's happening in the story. I think you can do. I think you can do that, but
Yes.
also do it as a design as well.
Yes.
Um, and those are the covers I prefer to do, where it's got that
Mm,
design element to it.
yes.
Um, but it's also saying, this is kind of what's happening in the book,
Yes.
at the same time.
Yeah,
because
no, I,
sometimes I think like the storytelling covers, they just sometimes they feel like it's just a panel from
yes,
the comic.
yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a little more space to do covers these days because of the variant.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Because on the 70s, on the 80s,
Right.
that was not that. Now a book get released, they have like 20 variants.
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
But that's great because it create more space to artists express in
Right.
different
Doesn't
ways.
create more space on my bookcase, so that's
Yes, that that for sure. But I don't know. I like to collect. I like comics. I like to collect, but I will never gonna buy a book and buy 10 parents
no,
of the
right. Right.
same book.
Right.
My top is like two.
Right. No,
I will
no,
pick
I agree. I agree. But
you.
I
You
can understand why they do it. And it's not,
yes,
I guess it's not primarily a money making thing. It's more to do with the the way that the marketing are perceiving how the issue
yes,
will go ahead. I mean,
yeah.
like
I think it's both.
originally did Action Comics number 1050,
Yes.
and I can't remember. There were 40 odd variant covers for that.
Oh my god. Yeah,
But
I
it
think
is a special
it's a
issue, you know.
yeah. I think it's both. It's like from one way, of course, DC and Marvel will say, "No, we don't want your money." No,
Right.
of course, there's a
Of course, it's a
there's a
business. Yeah.
perfect bet, but there's like I say, it give more space to
Right.
artists,
Yeah. Yeah.
even young artists to give okay,
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
variant for this one, and that will help them to get noticed
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
maybe also that's great. And how was your experience with Captain America?
Oh, Captain America it came along at the right time for me.
Because the
Um,
story is really dark. I,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think your style is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, me and Steve Epting had worked close by to each other at CrossGen, so
Yes.
we knew that we had the same influences in our artwork. Um,
Really?
yeah. Yeah.
What the common influence that you guys had?
There was a lot of um, people who use a lot of shadow on their stuff, like Al Williamson. Um, a lot of the Carol Day artists. Different Modesty Blaze stuff. That kind of black and white, the shadow
Yes.
kind of element to it.
Bernie
Um,
Greenstone.
sorry.
Bernie Greenstone.
Yeah,
Sorry
yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
my accents.
Bridgestone. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All that kind of stuff. So it
Yes.
was we had those similar influences.
Hmm.
So and the same with Butch Guice as well. We were in that one area at CrossGen. So a kind of more illustrative approach, I would say. Um,
Sure.
and so when Steve uh, he had some troubles trying to get things together, and he asked me to step in to help out.
Hmm.
So for a while, I was inking his work,
Yes.
just to give him some breathing space. But then they asked me to do the alternate arcs of the issues as well. So I was penciling and inking, as well as inking some of Steve's stuff as well. So
Hmm.
it just came along at the right time, and
Yes.
the work by Ed was fantastic. By
And what do you
by
think
Brubeck.
about the story?
I loved it. I loved it. I'd always loved Brubaker's writing anyway.
Hmm.
Um, so to actually work with Ed was fantastic. Um, he's such a consummate storyteller, um,
Hmm.
that I mean, I still pick up all of his work now. Every time he does something, I'm picking it up, which I would have done even without working with him. I was always
Sure.
picking up his stuff anyway.
Yeah. No, that's great. So, uh, well, We see that one. Spider.
Spider-Man.
When you were when you when you were growing up, what were your favorite heroes?
Well, Captain Britain was my
Really?
favorite.
More than Spider-Man, Batman, Superman?
I know, I like Spider-Man. Um, I loved. I don't know. It was sometimes it was more the visual aspect of things.
Yes.
Um, so I remember
But
just with the
yes or
first
no?
coming
Yeah.
across Deathlock and things like that,
Yes.
and then when 2000 AD came out when I was 7.
Mm.
So from then on, it was Judge Dredd and Strontium Dog and Robo Hunter and all this kind of stuff.
That's
And
so different than the Spider-Man.
yeah, oh, totally, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I think Judge Dredd was really a game changer also because
Oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah. No, I was always curious about the costume of Spider-Man because as an artist, I think every time is takes so much time to draw this line. I remember when I was a little kid, I was trying to do it and say, yeah,
right.
you can do Superman like in 10 minutes. Spider-Man will take you, I don't know, 30.
It's not. It's no. It's not, it once you know where everything goes, it's very very easy,
There's
really.
some people that leave this blank.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's great. No,
Yeah.
that so all the things in your page is like real covers and commissions,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah. There's not a lot of interiors up
yes,
there for this one.
no,
I've
but
actually got
there
to update it a little bit because I've done other work
sure,
as well. That I've got to put up
yeah,
there.
no, that's great. Like, there you go.
Yeah. The Union Jack. Yeah.
Yes, like the evil Captain Britain.
Yeah.
That that's great.
Yeah.
What do you think about? Well, I don't want to get you in trouble, but what do you think about the kind of the state of right now of comic books? Do you think there was because I'm not young. I'm 46 years old.
Right.
So, but I don't have problem with the new stuff. You know,
No. No.
if I want to read the stuff I grew up, I can go and grab a
Right.
comic and read it. But I think there's kind of there's a lot of people that have problem these days with the new stories, you know, because of course they're not focused to me, you
Right.
know, to have 46 years old is
Right.
like for
And there shouldn't be. Not every comic should be focused on
yes,
one person.
yeah,
One kind
I
of way.
love diversity
Yeah. Yeah.
in comic books.
Yeah.
You have some really real stuff or fantasy,
Right.
or you can have anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also for me it's kind of complex when people get pissed because of there's
Yeah.
too much diversity or stuff
I
like that.
know. And the thing is, as well, is like when you look at, especially superhero comics, when you look at superhero comics from, let's say, before the mid 80s,
Yes.
I mean, they were just fights. I mean, they pretty much. I mean,
Straight
it's not fair to
straightforward.
say that. I mean, there were other things. I mean, like Green Lantern, Green Arrow. It was fantastic stuff. The
Yes.
Teen Titans was dealing with different things. You know, X-Men was dealing with, but it basically came down to, oh, let's have a fight.
Yes.
And so um, I think a lot of the people who are complaining about that stuff now kind of look at the stuff when they were younger, which was
Yes.
just his fight scenes.
Yes.
Um, and now you've got these moments where you can have a little bit of relationship, a little bit of personality to it,
Yeah.
I mean, the comics in Europe have always done that, So
Yeah, of course.
um, I think there's that transition there, which I think needs to happen because comics should really be for everyone. I mean, you go to a comic convention now in America,
Yes.
um, and everybody's there. It's a family thing. It's
Yes.
there's girls there, there's women there, there's families, um, and even going back 15 years or so, you wouldn't have
Yeah.
seen that at a comic convention.
Yes.
It would have been a lot of men really. Um,
Yes.
so I think it's a healthy thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. And of course, sometimes there are stuff that you will like, the stuff that you will like, but
Right,
that's
right.
normal.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, for
yeah.
me, the problem is that people get so attached with their characters, like they
Right,
have it in their head. So
right,
if you do anything with them, it's like, no, you can touch my childhood.
right, right.
No,
Well,
that's
I mean,
crazy.
that was one of the things. It wasn't. We didn't really think like that when we were doing Swamp Thing, but we kind of we wanted to come up with our own Swamp Thing simply from the fact that the Alec Holland story has been told, and it's been told really, really well, numerous
Yes,
times.
yes,
So we just thought it was time for something
something
else.
different. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Because you can only tell the one story over and over again so many times.
Yes,
Especially when it's been done so brilliantly in the past.
yes, yeah, exactly. No, that's great.
Yeah,
That's art. Looking for
yeah,
something,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally.
something new. No, your stuff is really great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So you are accepting commissions? Like for example, if a guy want to, yeah, can you
Yeah,
draw Darth Vader versus Green Lantern or
right. Yeah, 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 yeah. I can do that. Usually it depends. I have to kind of carve out the time for it.
yeah,
So if it's easier if I'm going to a convention, because then
sure.
I've got a date and I can
Yes.
carve out the time for that. Um, so usually it's easier for me to do commissions for if I'm going to a convention and people are going to
Yes.
be there to pick it up,
Yeah.
um,
So that's
rather
great.
than people saying, "Oh, I want a commission," and then
Yeah.
I don't. It's very difficult for me to carve out that time.
Yeah. No, but that's great to people to know.
Right.
So maybe I would say in French, pour tous les gens qui vont commission de Monsieur Perkins, on les demande maintenant. Comme ça, après, il arrive à la convention et te dit, voilà, voici tes commissions. C'est plus efficace. No, that's great. It makes sense.
Yeah,
And
and usually
can,
people can get in touch with me on Facebook. It's or through the website as well.
okay,
There's a
and
there's a contact me button.
I think prices will vary with the complexity.
Yeah, yeah, they will. But I also do kind of head and torso shots for the conventions as well.
Okay.
So if people just want the head and torso things, I can do that.
Oh, that's great. I will think some stuff to commission you.
Excellent. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So well, know you're a busy guy, so I really thank you for your time.
Excellent. Thank
I'm
you.
looking forward to to meet you in person in
Excellent.
Paris, and well, I will arrive with a bunch of comic books for you to
Fantastic. No
sign.
problem. No problem.
No, and keep doing your excellent work, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe we can talk another time. You're always welcome,
Thank you.
and see you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.